Right, which I think we're successful in doing. Excellent stuff. Let's let everybody in and we'll say good evening to everyone. Great. Welcome back to the Dream Team session, everybody. Let me make you co-host again. Astrid, fantastic. And let's let everybody in over here on the Zoom tonight. Superb. Great stuff. We have Carolina Cunha, I can see here from EI this evening. How are you?
Hi, Carl. I'm fine. Thank you. And you?
Yeah, very well indeed. This evening it's a bit damp and cold here, I've got to say, on the Silver Coast, but an exciting evening ahead. An exciting hour, I'm sure. We were completely overwhelmed last week, so let's get on with it. We did have a request to talk about the NHR, and I suggested this might be the right session to do that, so I'm sure it will be spoken of this evening. For the time being, thank you, Carolina, for being here. We have Daniel as well. Daniel, how's your computer? Is it playing now? Playing nicely?
Well, the computer is not cooperating with me, so I switched to the mobile phone. But I don't have a lot of battery, so if for some reason I disappear out of thin air, it was the phone to blame. Okay.
Fair enough. I shall come back to you very quickly after we've said hello to everybody this evening, because it was the last day of the Parliament today. I'm sure you'll have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Nuno, good evening to you from Winsurance. How are you?
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm pretty well, actually.
Okay, looking
All
good.
good, all good.
In your car, in your mobile office this evening. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
today I need to have the meeting through the car.
That is a lamppost outside your car, not inside your car, that we can see through the glazed roof there, I think. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can see the rain in Portugal here tonight on Nuno's roof there. So any questions about insurance, do ask us, and Nuno will take care of those. Sarah Davey from Spartan FX, how's the weather over in the UK? Is it a bit chilly?
It is a bit cold. Not too bad, as I said, not as bad as it was last week for me up north.
Right, yeah, of course. Yeah. And are you well?
I'm well, thank you. Yes, hope everyone else is well.
Excellent. Okay. I will come back to you with a little bit of a look at the currency situation at the moment, and maybe a little bit of a forecast for 2024 as well. Jackie's here, a fabulous webinar just now that will be published up on the Expats Portugal YouTube channel on Sunday. Great job, Jackie. Joins us. Astrid here as well. Let's go back then to Carolina to find out what's been going on. Seth, now Ima, what's been going on at the front line of migration, Carolina?
Well, up until now, the appointments that we have been assisting, everything has gone smoothly. We have not seen much changes comparing to the old CEF. So I believe, at least in reality, it has been a quite smooth transition. But just in reality, like for everyone that is getting their visas currently, they have been issued without appointments, and well, that overcrowds the call line for us to book them appointments, or the person booking it themselves. So it has been difficult towards that part. The system has not like transitioned as well. It was quite expected to not go as well, since unfortunately, but yeah.
But as expected, it isn't going terribly well. But you're pushing away, of course, at EI and helping people meet various deadlines, get over to Portugal. And of course, the big question on everyone's lips at the moment is, can I qualify for the NHR? How's that going, generally speaking?
Well, I've been having a lot of consultations, like back to back. And because if people meet the few criteria that's still on the air, it's feasible. So I've been able to fit quite a few percentage of people still on the last NHR train. So that has been good, either for us and for the clients, of course. Of course, that there's also people that had hopes, but quite unreal hopes, which we also have to break down the news. So but again, it has been a person by person analysis, and well, it has gone well.
Oh, well done. You must be working so hard at the moment. I like how you put that, the last NHR train. It sounds like we should have T-shirts and mugs made up for the people who qualify to take with them into their new life here in Portugal. So thanks, Caroline. Any questions? Of course, we've got a webinar next week with Gilda and EI looking at the D7 especially, but visas next week on the webinar at 7:30. But any questions you've got about visas tonight and the NHR, Carolina is here to answer those. Daniel, I believe it was the end of the 15th Portuguese legislature today, and we will have a new one on the 10th of March of next year. How has that gone? And has there been anything coming out of the grey areas and the fine print that we touched upon in the budget in the last couple of weeks?
Well, it was, as I said previously, a funny solution that the president did found out, to have the government, that the prime minister thrown the towel down, and then the president said, not yet, you will need to carry on and continue until the budget is voted, and you will be in power until March next year. So again, I don't fully agree with the solution. I don't think that we had the need of having this budget voted, because what the Portuguese law does foresee is that in the case that the budget is not voted by any way, but by chance, we can operate with the budget from past year divided in 12. So it wouldn't happen the same thing as it happens in the US when you fear the government shutdown. That is not the case in Portugal. The government could continue to pay salaries, and things would just be as normal as they were in 2023. In January, February, we would have normality. So I don't agree with this solution, to be honest, and I think it has its problems. And now that the government was indeed demoted, that was the reality. We have the president with some questions or problems with the twins. I don't know if you've heard that case about the
yes.
Yeah. Well, the really expensive medicine was paid to those baby twins, and it seems that someone did some pressure higher up the chain. Probably it came from the president himself. So, but now that the parliament is off, the president cannot be investigated. So, there's some political nuances that occur.
Right.
On the NHR front, the situation with the transitory regime is indeed still picking up some speed in some people that will be able to fulfill the criteria of the NHR with the transitory regime. So at least we have that's the biggest advantage out of this budget, in tying the two things together, is having this transitory regime voted, so the NHR, for people that were in the process of changing to Portugal, they will still be able to request the NHR in 2024 as long as they do meet the criteria. So that's the good part about this budget.
Superb. Thank you for that update. And if your battery goes, we'll understand why you might be disappearing from our screen. Any questions you've got about the law here in Portugal? Of course, Daniel of Reis and Pelicano, a law firm in Lisbon, do ask those in the chat and I'll put them to him. And we'll get to some YouTube questions as well, hopefully. Let's see who's here from Zoom. Phyllis, Larry, JLM, Ken, and Debbie, all here tonight. Do pop your questions in. Well done, Cam. D7 visas issued, and I'm at appointments end of February. Thanks to EI. Wonderful. And Tom Smith is in Ohio, where it's a cloudy 8 degrees. I hope my blood doesn't thin too much, where I complain when it gets below 15 degrees. Yeah. That's the sort of complaint I've got at the moment, and I realize how lucky I am when you put it like that. Tom, Daniel, can you plug in your phone? They don't want to lose you, Laronda. Good to see you here.
I have the plug here. The main problem is to plug the phone. I need to remove it out of the base, but I'll find a solution. I'll find a way.
Thank you. Laronda doesn't want to lose you tonight, and Astrid very thoughtfully has put a link to you. If we do lose you, there's a link to you in the Expats Portugal business directory. Wonderful. Okay. Any questions you've got, Zoom team over here, members of Expats Portugal, please pop them into the chat, and I'll make sure they get put before our panel tonight. Let's go to Sarah then. We're coming into the Christmas time, the end of the year, of course. course, and looking forward to how that currency situation might be in 2024. Busy year for Portugal, a busy year for world politics, of course. What do you think, Sarah? How's it looking for 2024? I know you can't make predictions, but I think you can give us some indications, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, we're not really closed over Christmas. This is not a wind down for us. So you can contact us. Not on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, but otherwise we're open for business. So, but compared to obviously other businesses. But yeah, I think probably at the moment people are kind of looking into sort of next year. I think the key sort of things we're looking again is interest rate announcements. It's really been the focal point of the last couple of years, but really it was whether the central banks were raising interest rates to tackle inflation. Now inflation's getting towards the 2% target. The central banks will be looking at cutting interest rates. Now we think that they probably won't do it too quickly because they don't want to undo the work that they've done, but it's a case of looking at who's going to do it first and when, because as a rule of thumb, if central banks increase interest rates, that strengthens a currency, and if they cut interest rates, it generally weakens a currency, is a general rule of thumb. But there is, as we've talked before, lots of other factors that will impact the exchange rate. And the other things that we're looking at is obviously anything that should happen next year with Russia and Ukraine. It's still going on in the background. If there's a ceasefire, that could weaken the US dollar. And then if there's anything else happening sort of in the Middle East. So again, obviously we saw in the last 3 years, we've had pandemics, we've had wars. There's lots of other things that can cause a lot of volatility. But I think the other thing is that I mentioned before is that everyone has probably quite a long time frame with their move to Portugal. You're doing your research really early. So really you're probably talking about until you actually move to Portugal anywhere between 6, 12 months or more. And you're looking at moving money throughout that whole time for various different things. I think it's important to maybe take a step back and actually look at the rates as a whole. And actually, if you were selling US dollars and you're buying euros, it's still a very good time to be buying. Really, the last times that we saw really any better rates, we touched on them last year when it went to parity. And then before that, really, it was 2017 and then 2003. So really, we're still at very good levels if you are selling US dollars and buying euros. And while it is difficult to forecast, obviously we do look at historical trends, and there's certain things that maybe we can look at. But ultimately, what we're trying to do and what a lot of our customers are doing is when there's sort of these peaks and troughs of good improvements, people are buying some euros in advance. Now, it might not be all of your euros. It might just be maybe a quarter or half of what you're doing. And what that means is if the rate should move against you, the average of what you're buying at is still very good. We can hold the euros in advance. So even if you don't have a bank account open in Portugal, you can still buy those euros and just help manage your budgets, really.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah's here to answer any questions about currency exchange, of course, and opening an account with Spartan FX. Thank you for being here tonight, Sarah. Let's go to Rebecca. First question then about the NHR. No problem. You don't need to apologize, Rebecca. Sorry, but I'm still not clear on this. You're not the only one, and I'm sure this is a useful question for others as well. So does a VFS appointment scheduled for January 24 but made in 23 actually qualify us to apply for the NHR? Should we go to Carolina for that?
Well, of course, we are still not 100% clear on this because we are waiting for the final wording of the state budget. So my answer might, well, vary as of December 14th. But our understanding is that the appointment is half of it. You need to have a proof of accommodation in Portugal and the appointment. It's both of them, because when you apply for the NHR, the first step is to change the address from your original one, so from the one that you put initially, so the home country or the residency country, and you need to switch it to a Portuguese address. How can you switch it with just the appointment? You need to give out an address. So you need to have an accommodation and the proof of appointment. This is, again, our understanding. This is not still 100% clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're keeping an eye on that, and you'll obviously be the first to know over here. I think that answers your question, Alison, over on YouTube as well. And Larry and Sally, have an NHR question tonight. Did you want to ask that out loud, as it were, Larry and Sally, or did you want to pop that into the chat? You're very welcome to join us if you want to. Good evening to you.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I appreciate that. Out loud is fine, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Hear us okay?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but let's give it a go.
Okay. So today, my wife, Sally, got her NIF address changed to the property that we purchased in July of this year. She is an EU citizen with the Spanish passport, and then I only have my US passport. We went in the financials office. We attempted to see if they would also change my NIF address. They did that for her. And their response was they would, provided that SEF or IMA would give us a letter of intent, and then of course with our property deed. That's kind of how we left. Now we're having the same problem getting an appointment like everyone else. So I guess the question is, are we far enough along in the process? We purchased the property here in Portugal in July of this year. And my wife has now received her NIF address change. We're planning to go probably tonight and apply for NHR for her. Are we farther enough along in the process that should I not get an appointment until next year, that we kind of met the goal of, what's kind of been talked about, like odds are pretty good, or that we can feel confident that I would also be granted NHR?
I think back to Carolina for that.
Well, technically, as of still now, we are still applying like the normal, like old situations. So you would need to have your self appointment for doing a family reunion with an EU citizen, that's your spouse. With that proof of that appointment and the proof of your house, they can change your address. Without it, it's tricky, because they can say that you haven't started the process. So that declaration that they mean is the appointment. Even if the appointment it's just for next year, technically, as long as it's scheduled this year, it would be okay. But the last proposal for the redaction of the transitory regime, it did not contemplate the EU citizens situation, which is, I believe Duarte brought this issue up, which was right. Highly unfair, because EU citizens cannot in any point be treated not just differently, but like be forgotten, comparing to citizens from outside the EU. So we don't know if there's going to be something additionally to try and surpass this problem, this constitutional problem. Regardless, if the regime goes as is, there's one number that says if a member of a household gets it, it's extended to the others. So if you are married, which you are, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You might be able to fit in through that. But again, we still don't know like how it will work in reality, because sometimes what the parliament decides and what the tax office actually implements, sometimes they don't go hand in hand. So, but in your situation, I would be hopeful, because since Sally already got her situation sorted, you could like as a piggyback probably as well. But yeah, again, probably on the 14th we will have more certainties, but until then you 100% need your appointment anyway, even if it's for like later. But I understand your situation. Currently there are no appointments for your situation. We also check daily, and we never know how to foresee when will they open. I cannot tell you like tomorrow or in a month. We don't know. So I guess I would remain hopeful in your situation specifically.
And that's I hope that works for you, Larry and Sally. And generally for people in this sort of situation, it's a matter of not giving up, isn't it? That's not to say it will definitely happen, but it's useful not to give up at this point and to keep going. Is that right, Caroline? Is that fair advice?
Yeah, it's each person and couple needs to look for a professional's opinion in their own situation, because this couple situation is completely different. And if this matter was resolved like a few weeks ago, it probably wouldn't have happened, because I had a couple just like this that I was perfectly fine doing it, the full couple, even without the appointment yet. So, but this was 2 weeks ago. So timing is also crucial. So, yeah.
Thank you, Carolina. Larry and Sally, anything else from you?
Well, if I just may ask one clarification. So the appointment with Ima or Seth, does it have to be a specific type of appointment, or simply like the appointment towards NHR? Is that sufficient? Because I know that the whole family reunification is a concern, and my understanding was that there's a different statute or for like if it's your spouse, it's not in the family reunification genre. But I guess I'm asking is, if I have an appointment with Seth, kind of regardless what the appointment's all about, like if I'm just trying towards NHR, is that sufficient in the situation would you expect?
Well, you need to have a specific appointment for your situation, which is called, it's not family reunification, it's family reunion, which is like, it's not the same thing. Family reunion, in your case, the slots open much more frequently than the other ones, because you have a special treatment because of being a spouse to a EU citizen. EU citizens have the same treatment as a Portuguese citizen, bringing a spouse from outside of the EU. So comparing to like your for example, if you were to compare it to a friend, an American friend with an American spouse, completely different situation. So in this case, because a spouse of a EU citizen, with marriage, the rights quite extend to them. And the appointment in itself, it's like a confirmation of those rights, but they already exist since marriage. So it's just a confirmation. So the appointment itself needs to be for, it's called the Article 15. And it needs to be that there's no appointment for NHR. It does not exist. If you call Seth and ask for that, they will be like lost like yourself. So it needs to be that specific one.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Larry and Sally?
No, family reunion. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, great distinction. So thank you both, and thank you, Carolina, especially for answering that. And we'll come back to this 14th of December date in just a moment, because we'd like some clarification on that, what happens then. But Alfred over on YouTube is saying, hi, Carl, any update on reunification? So moving from reunion to reunification. And sorry if you did mention this before when you're giving us your update, Carolina, but what is the situation with reunification bookings and cases?
No, that I don't have any news, unfortunately. It's still closed. There's like nothing from the few weeks that have passed, so still no news.
Good heavens.
So people have been just waiting and waiting and waiting. So unfortunately, IMA has not been able to still, it's like answering a Seth's problem, but it's like they inherited the problem. So, and they still have not solved it.
Okay. Wow. All right. So there's your answer, Alfred. Sorry, it's not a good one. I think this may have the previous conversation and your answers, Carolina, may have helped Alison, also Joseph and Mrs. Scance over there on YouTube. Let us know if that is not the case. And Michael, yes, this is live, and EI got us our NHR last week. Yay, well done, the Whitbys on that. Now let's go back to the 14th of December. We are having Grace and Rebecca asking what actually happens, what's going on December the 14th, the date you mentioned. So what's likely to be clarified then, Carolina?
Well, on December 14th is the government publishes the state budget for 2024. So we will know the final wording. So because there's a proposal and then there's like adjustments to the proposal and more adjustments, and until it's actually published we don't know which one prevailed. So we might have an idea and we might have a feeling, but it's like until it's actually published it's like on the air.
So we're working at the moment based on interpretations of a proposal and likelihoods, and come December the 14th it will be finalized, and that's when it becomes law basically, is it? Yeah, okay, there you go. There's your answer, Rebecca and Grace. Hope that helps as well. Laurie with a nice little hack: make sure you empty your browser cache or use a different browser when you're checking for appointments. That could be helpful and useful there. And Rebecca thanking us for that answer there, Carolina. Brilliant stuff. Okay, let's go to YouTube and Naunu. My D2 visa VFS appointment was on the 20th of November in VFS India. Is there any maximum number of days the embassy is allowed to take for visa approval? What can we do if the embassy takes more time than that? Is this a general rule all over the world, or is it specific from country to country, the amount of days they're meant to take, Carolina?
Well, the law should be the same for everyone.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And technically it's 60 days.
Okay.
But in India, do not count on 60 days. It's at least 3, 4, 5 months. In India, it's one of the slowest countries issuing visas. And keep an eye on the email, because a lot of times they ask for clarifications and you need to be responsive because you have a deadline to respond. So
okay,
yeah, it's a few visa processes we've done have taken like 3, 4 months, others like a year. So depends on the factors, if the process was properly done and if the person added all the documents or well.
That's incredible. 6 times longer than the law, possibly up to a year. Amazing. And the question from Nanu then is, what can we do if the embassy takes more time than that? You said from the client point of view, make sure you answer all the correspondence and within the deadlines. But if they're not hearing, what can be done? Well,
when this happens to us, we ask the intervenience of partnering lawyers that we have, and they intervene on their behalf within the consulate.
Yeah.
Sometimes especially the New Delhi consulate, it's really not responsive. So we need to take further measures and ask the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs here in Portugal to internally intervene, and those usually respond, but most times nothing happens, and we need to keep on insisting and insisting. So yeah, I'm amazed that that person got an appointment, because it has been very difficult to schedule appointments in India. Really hard.
So they might think of themselves as quite fortunate in this situation, and things can be escalated, but it's best done by a professional over there in the legal system. Okay, Nano, I hope that helps. Debbie's asking of you, Caroline, let's stay with you. If I'm arriving in May and the VFS appointment is late February, for the NHR, when does the lease have to start?
Are they speaking about this year?
Yeah, well, no, next year. Arriving in May of next year with a VFS appointment, in late February. Yeah, okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? Arriving in May of next year, VFS appointment late February for NHR. So the process began presumably earlier than I'm confused now, and maybe you are too, Caroline, on that. What do you make of that? And maybe we need more information from Debbie.
Yeah, I believe she has a rental, but it will only start later next year. I don't know. How did she find a landlord that agreed, but great for her.
Okay.
And I believe it would be manageable if this transitory regime is approved.
Oh, we got more information. Yes, the VFS appointment was made this year. I've not done any rental search. They might, Debbie might need the help of Casa Portuguesa in that case, then, right?
Yeah, because actually, the point on the transitory regime just says the appointment itself.
Right.
But we need to join the transitory regime with the already existing laws. So it's like a marriage between both of them. So I believe it would be necessary the rental as well.
All right, thank you very
before
much.
the end of this year.
All right, we're prioritizing questions as we do over on Zoom for the Expats Portugal members, and I'll do as many of the YouTube questions as I possibly can. S is asking over here on Zoom, Expats Portugal member, if my spouse stayed in the US, is there a way I could use his passive income as passive income without having to set up a business to funnel the money through as passive if we file for taxes separately? Does that make sense to you, that question?
Well, it would depend on how the documents look like.
Yeah.
But the consulates are thorough on this. Because people try things and it doesn't work sometimes as well as they think. I don't know. I would need to look at the documents and see how are they converting their active income in passive income. It's like how?
Yeah, okay. So the specifics to make that watertight, we'd need to know how the nuts and bolts of it are working. It's a bit difficult to say just from that proposition. It will depend on the technicalities of how that's wired up, as it were. S, you can ask some more if you want, but maybe have a chat with EI. You can find them in the business directory, of course, anyone who's looking for EI. And you'll get a discount if you're an Expats Portugal premium member as well. I'll find them in the For my planning purposes, says Ken, how long do I need to stay in Portugal after the IMA appointment to receive our residency cards? I will need to return to the US to finish arranging household and pet shipments, etc. Good timescale question there. Thank you for that, Ken.
Well, while the visa is valid, you can but we don't recommend to like travel freely. It's really if you need it, but while the visa is still on date, after the visa is up and you go to your self-appointment and you are on a limbo situation of waiting for the permit, visa expired, we highly do not recommend to leave. We recommend to stay until the permit arrives, which technically can take from a month up to 3 months from the date of the appointment. Some people take a week. Some people take more than that, much more than that, like 4 months. But we do not recommend.
Okay. All right. There you go. There's the advice from Carolina Ken. Hi, Carolina. You're getting some good fan mail tonight. Michael Whitby says, Carolina rocks. And Linda, hi, Carolina. Great to see you. If I get my visa and move to Portugal this winter, but can't get an IMA appointment in 2024, am I out of luck for the NHR? I have a long-term rental already.
Hi, Linda. Well, in this case, if the transitory regime is approved, Linda, with just her visa and her rental is enough.
Yeah.
Okay. But we are waiting to see if that's going to happen. So we are dependent on that. Yeah. If the transitory changes wording or, well, I don't know, but as is currently, she would need her appointment. Yes. That's why we are hopeful the transitory regime goes through.
Yep. Okay. So we're keeping an eye on that. Don't give up, Linda. And a question, a nice prompt from Jerry. Thanks for this, Jerry. For you, Nunu, a question for Nunu that came up in the earlier webinar. Does a standard private medical insurance policy cover private medical services in other EU countries, or is it just in Portugal and the health service here in Portugal?
Thanks for the question. So this really depends on the wording of each insurer and the plans and coverages. Most of the insurers provide some coverage outside of Portugal. But remember that to everyone that already has the SNS number, that you can request freely the European health insurance. This is valid for 3 years long. So you can request online, and you can travel among Europe, EU countries. Sorry, not Europe, EU countries, and get medical care on the public system of each country. Okay,
this is
not private.
If you're traveling, though, right? Not
if you're traveling, and you are using the free European or EU health insurance. So to get private medical care, you have two options: or your health insurance covers it, or you need the travel insurance. Okay. So it really depends on this.
All right. And I think part of this that came up in the earlier webinar was how you might get treatment elsewhere. If you, let's say you're working with a health insurance policy here, you go to a hospital in Portugal, they don't offer that particular operation, or they can't offer it soon enough. Are there policies that will cover your care elsewhere in other countries in the EU?
Yes. So if you have a health insurance from a local insurer in Portugal, in Spain, in France, no matter what, you will be receiving, you are allowed to medical care on that country.
Right.
You can get an international health insurance, like Bupa, it's the most well-known, or IMG. And with these insurance policies, you can get medical care. You choose the country where you want to get medical care. So it's different.
Okay.
This is one of the big differences and one of the advantages of the international plans.
Yes. Okay. Very good. So you'll be needing an international plan to do that, Jerry, if I've understood the question correctly, and what was carried over from the last webinar. Thanks, Nuno. Normally we ask you, and I didn't at the beginning of the of talking to you, but how are things in the insurance industry? Are there any? We like no news is good news, don't we? But is there anything to report from your industry this week?
Oh, there are news. There are news. So a lot of people are panicking with the health insurance. Insurance premiums are going up, no doubt. Special people that have Allianz, they are increasing the rates up to 60%. But somehow it's important to understand what is happening. First, the public system, it is really struggling a lot. Today, we had no emergencies services on the public hospitals in all Lisbon area. And this is week by week, we are facing a lot of problems. So the public, because the public is struggling, the private is under pressure. And they are getting the doctors so they are contracting doctors, paying more. We know that the networks, because in Portugal the system is we have the networks and we have the insurers. So we can have two insurers using the same network. One pay for palliative care and the other doesn't pay. So the healthcare networks, their costs increase 35% because the hospitals and the doctors are requiring a higher cost, a higher payment. And they are pushing the insurers, and the insurers are passing to the customers this increment. This is one part of the history. The other one is that insurers are covering more, like robotic. Okay, for example, oncologic disease are reaching nowadays 100-200 euros the treatment. So it's top treatment, and we customers, what we want, we need to choose. If you want the top of the treatment, yes, the insurance will go at a higher premium.
Okay.
So we are facing two realities. One is the increment of the medical costs, and the other one is better and higher cost treatments.
Or better treatments and higher costs associated with that. Thanks for that update, Nuno. I think Jerry's got a question to ask you on that.
Yes, thank you, Carl, and thank you, Nuno. And that's very interesting about the European medical card. I actually knew nothing about that. So I think all of us who are registered in Portugal should probably go out and get one of those. Would you agree? Is that straightforward? I think you called it an EMS, is that right?
I don't know. We called the blue card.
The blue card.
Because it's blue.
Okay. Okay.
It was what was called the E1. It was an E111, wasn't it? When the UK was part of the EU, it was the E111 similar system.
Well, that actually leads to my second question, which is there anything similar now for the UK for Portuguese residents?
No.
No, it's completely.
No. As far as I know.
Completely separate now. There's no special agreements being made anywhere or anything like that, right?
As far as I know, no.
Okay.
If a UK resident, sorry, Jerry, if a UK resident if a UK person has become a Portuguese resident, of course they do get access to the service. It's not now, post Brexit. It's not that Brits don't get public health care in Portugal. But you're talking about
my question was
beyond that, aren't you? Yeah.
If a UK resident or an ex-UK resident goes back to the UK, where do they stand with healthcare in the UK?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry, I interrupted you. You had a supplementary question.
Yeah. Sorry. The other thing that came up earlier, Nuno, was about life insurance and the cost of life insurance. Could you just give us very quickly an average cost, say, for a 45-year-old and a 55-year-old in good health and so on?
I didn't heard the question. Could you
life insurance? What is the average cost for, say, a 45-year-old and a 55-year-old?
I don't know by memory, which is the average.
Sorry.
I don't have all the rates in my mind. I'm so sorry. But please send me an email and I'll come back to you. It's easy for us.
It's something that came up on the webinar. It might be something that we can come back to on a follow-up. That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jerry. And you can get in touch with Nuno, of course, as he suggests there, by going to the Expats Portugal Business Directory and looking up Winsurance. Okay, we have a further question for you, Carolina, from Larry and Sally. Thank you for your earlier answer. We have an additional question. Since I'm applying for family reunion, that's right, Larry, Article 15 with my EU citizen wife, do I need a visa too, or can we work through this without a visa like a D7 applicant needs?
Yes, you can skip the visa because the family reunion, it's residence permit. It's one of the few exceptions that allows you to skip the visa part and go straight to the residence permit. So you don't have to get a visa because you are American. And Portugal and the US are amicable in the sense that you can freely come touristing here, so it's okay. Just until the process is finished, keep in mind that you are a tourist, so you can't work. You have that to have in mind, because I know you wrote, can we work through this? I mean, you mean work through the situation, but I want to also interpret it literally, not work, just surpass the problem. Yes.
Good clarification, Carolina. Go on, Larry.
Yes, that's not do work. We're retired. Can we resolve this process? So thank you for the answer.
Get through it. All right, that's wonderful. Thank you for your question. Cheers, Carolina. Great answer there. Okay, on the issue of health insurance from La Ronda, my health insurance will cover me in Portugal, and so this is the D7 insurance, I take it, and anywhere else in the world. I spoke at length with my insurer, but getting doctors outside of the country to bill them directly is probably going to be an issue. Do I still need travel medical insurance for 30,000 euros, or can I focus just on the repatriation part of the coverage? That's probably for you as well, Carolina, isn't it?
For the visa application, you need the travel insurance coverage of the 30,000 and covering the medical emergency and the repatriation. When the visa is issued and done, you can, after that is up, you can forget about that and then focusing on the health insurance. But Nuno knows all about this. If you just contact him, you just need to tell him what type of visa, what country, and he knows.
And you'll get that quote. Excellent. Thank you, Carolina. Cheers, Nuno. Okay, let's go over to YouTube then. Mrs. Scantz, you've been very patient over there. Criminal record requirement. My husband has a 30-year-old... Okay, you said this, not me. My husband has a 30-year-old young and dumb charge on his criminal record. What sort of charge would impact a visa application? That's a good question, isn't it? What sort of view, what types of criminality do the Portuguese government take a dim view of?
Well, it all depends. I know you don't like that response, but since it was 30 years ago, it's quite manageable to well speak our way of it. But they would need to add supporting documentation on that.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because that's part of the process, of course, isn't it? Is to articulate your vision of life in Portugal. And you would recommend making particular reference to a young and dumb incident from back in the past and what you've done about it to put the record straight.
Yeah, because you need to add supporting evidence on what happened, how was it resolved, how as it ended, did you run away, did you fulfill it? Well, you need to add the middle and the end of the story.
What a great answer.
Yeah, that's why I always recommend people when they get their criminal record, especially for Americans that can get a soft copy, to get it to their email to make sure, because sometimes people don't remember and they get the closed envelope and they are well, all happy because they have the document and it's not squeaky clean as they think they are. So always ask for a soft copy to your email so you at least you know and you can do something about it. And it's not, well, depends on the type of issue that's printed there, but we would need to see case by case because there's like not something that would be, it's like we know a few things that have passed smoothly without any question. Well, might be one of those.
Yeah. Okay. And that's why it's good to get the professional help as well to counsel you through that and structure that application correctly with that in mind for you there, Mrs. Scantz. This is a question, I think it's coming back to Nuno really, in your personal experience and professional experience, Nuno. Do most Americans cancel their American health insurance once they receive their visas and secure healthcare in Portugal? Or do they carry both insurance plans for a time? So do people run those up together or do they cancel them at their soonest opportunity?
According our experience is that people keep the private health insurance. Okay. Some enroll at the higher plan and then downgrade it. But I suspect that with the higher cost of the medical care, this could change in 2 or 3 years. Okay. So people could start looking to better plans.
All right, that's a great answer. Thank you. I hope that helps for you over there on YouTube. Thank you very much indeed for that. And yeah, Tom, I will come back to your question as our closing questions this evening, because it's a good cultural sort of question that we like to end the evening on. And I'm just going to pop back to YouTube to ask a question on behalf of Sam Kumar. Very technical, this one, and I think it's for you, Carolina. I've applied in Article 89.2 after setting up a Universal LDA. It is dealing with core IT. Incoming from UK and USA, I am paying a gross salary of 2,300 euros here. Will this speed up my TRC? I've seen a few cases where if someone paid more than 2,300 euros, they got a TRC appointment within 40 days. Is that true? Carolina, what is a TRC appointment?
Well, I'm a little bit lost myself.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think because I'm more leaning towards the D7 and the D8, and of course a little miscellaneous, but that one I don't know.
Bring it to next week's webinar, that one, Sam, or reach out to EI in the meantime to get some clarification on some specifics there. But generally speaking, Carolina, just because somebody's paying more money, that won't improve their chances, will it, of being seen more quickly? I wouldn't have thought. That wouldn't be constitutional, would it?
Yeah, I don't think it is. And I've never heard about it. So, but it might be a me problem. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very fair of you. TRC, if you could, expression of interest is what you're saying there. TRC is an expression of interest appointment, but still, I think it's the same answer for you there, Sam. Give EI a call or put that question to us on the.
We have people working in all fields, so I'm sure we'll have someone to reply to you, probably one of our lawyers, and they will manage to they will know what you're talking about.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Conrad, good evening to you. We'll try and get to your question as well. Mrs. Scans has come back. Thank you to you, Carolina, about the criminal record thing. He has had a stellar 30-year military record since that time, so hopefully that will make up for it. That sounds like a good attenuating circumstance, doesn't it? Brilliant. Okay. Diabetim, or is that just Ben? How I should refer to you there. I sent our current bank documents, but we couldn't get any response from the consulate. Our application is still under evaluation. However, we do not know when we will receive a response. Ben, that sounds more like a statement than a question. Give me more information if there's something you need to know specifically about that. From Istanbul, Turkey. Our application has been under evaluation for 2 months, but we don't know what the outcome will be. How, generally speaking, is the Turkish embassy? Oh, that's for you, Caroline. I need you unmuted as well.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute.
Okay, no worries.
Our experience with the Turkish embassy is that it's difficult to get an appointment, but then after you get one, it's not that bad. It runs quite smoothly, so I would say 2 months is okay. If it touches on the 3-month mark, it starts on becoming a little worry, but until the 3-month mark, it's quite unknown to say, but I would say it's to just wait 1 more month.
Okay, there you go. That's for you, Ben. Conrad, I'm not sure which parts of your process you're using EI for or not for in this situation you described. But I mean, if you're concerned at all, just give EI a call, and I'm sure they will allay your fears and get back to you on that. I think that's everything. Unless I've missed something, do reassert your question now, whether it be over here on Zoom or in YouTube. Want to make sure we cover as much as possible. Just about kept up with everything, I think, this evening. So do let me know if I have missed anything at all. Oh, a few more questions coming in from Zoom. Rebecca, really appreciate your advice in these uncertain times. So maybe next week, December the 14th, will help making some of those NHR questions clearer, though it may be too soon. Well, you'll see, Rebecca. Keep tuning in to the Dream Team session and we'll see what we can do for you. Yes, have I missed anything? Do let me know, because I'm going to ask that last question that came in from Tom Smith, which is about public transport here in Portugal. Sarah, I think, can answer this as well, even though not living here in Portugal, you have used, I'll come back to you in a little while, Sarah, just to give you a bit of a heads up, using public transport as a tourist here in Portugal. We've got Tom, who wants to make the journey from Lisbon to Albufeira and wonders whether to take the train or the coach, the bus. Let's start with you on that first, if I may, Nuno. You'd say drive, wouldn't you? But if you had to choose between the train or the bus, which would you choose as a Portuguese person? Oh, we need you unmuted as well, Nuno.
I'm so sorry. Thank you,
No, don't
Carl,
worry.
for the advice. Yeah, so it depends from where I want to travel to. Basically, this, because for some parts the bus is more accessible. To different travels, the train is better. I prefer the train because it allows a better comfort. Okay, yeah. But it depends.
Well, Tom said you can get something to eat on the train as well, which is true. The quality of that, I'm not entirely sure about, but at least you can get something on the train. And if you're coming to Portugal, you have to try at least once, don't you, the AP, the Alpha Pendular train, because it's a brilliant service. So I would recommend the train myself as well for what it's worth. Have we still got Daniel with us? I think Daniel's battery may have.
Yes,
Oh, we
I'm
do.
here.
Daniel,
I was able
are
to
you?
put the
Are you?
computer working, so
Oh, good man. Are you a train man or a bus man?
oh, train for sure. Although the
Right.
trains do get delayed, and there's some strikes and all that, but when I go to Porto or to Braga, I usually take the Alfa Pendular, the AP. For the Algarve, if it's Albufeira, train for sure. So I would say the coastal line between Albufeira and Braga, take the train because the train service is fairly good. If it's on the interior of the country, you should or either drive or take the coach, the bus, because the train service is not that good in the interior of Portugal, unfortunately. That's my take on public transportation.
Okay, thank you so much, Daniel. And the fares are very competitively priced as well. The bus
They
is
are.
great value, and the
Yeah.
train is good value too. And CP.pt is the app that you can use, which is also very, very good as well. And Daniel, someone was telling me about an app yesterday where you can check in real time whether trains are arriving or not, or if they've been cancelled. Because CP's not so good on that, but there is an
No.
app, an Android app, isn't there, where you can check if
I don't
the.
know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, to be honest. And I will disagree with you on the CP app being good. To book a train ticket is not that intuitive.
Okay.
And sometimes it crashes. So I'm not a happy bird, a happy camper with the CP app. Sometimes I just buy the ticket on the same day that I'm traveling. Especially because sometimes things do change in the on a minute's notice, and I rather just buy the ticket just before I board. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. No, very good. Train Status PT or Train Status PT is an app that will tell you whether trains are running on time or if they're coming at all. Because sometimes you can stand on a platform on a strike day and not know, because everyone else does, and you're the only person standing there. So Train Status PT will help you with that. We've asked Nunu, we've asked Daniel. Thank you both, gentlemen, for being here tonight. Let's go to Sarah, who's been here as a tourist. Do you have a preference out of those two, Sarah?
A real mixture, to be honest. I mean, personally, I enjoy driving, so I have driven around, rented a car, and that was really super easy and really cheap. Much cheaper than a lot of other countries or even the UK to hire a car.
Oh, good.
I've got the train from Porto to Lisbon, and I would do that again. Just when it's a bit of a longer journey, the train is quicker and it's much easier just being sat there. And it is a coastal train, so the view was lovely.
Yes.
Really, really nice. So definitely would recommend that. And then when I'm in Lisbon, the buses, the metro, it's all really easy. And again, for all the trains, it's really cheap. Certainly compared to the UK.
I'm glad I asked you as a tourist, because the Portuguese people here, they take it for granted, don't they? You've got all these beach views and the coast, and you're going over these iconic bridges, and the Portuguese people just looking at their phones because they've seen it all before. But for us tourists and newbies to the country, it's like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, that's a great call to get on a train and enjoy the view. Thank you, Sarah, so much. Carolina, there's a quickie from Arup here. Thanks for being here, Sarah, tonight. To just reconfirm that we can apply for our NHR during 24, given that our lease agreement was signed, registered before October the 23rd. That's looking quite a good position, isn't it, for Arup there?
Yeah, and that in that situation, if the transitory regime is approved, he would qualify for one of the criteria of having a signed lease agreement before October 10th.
Yeah.
So I don't know when did he do it in October, but as long as prior to that, it would fit in. We need to wait and see.
Great. All right. Thank you. The same caveat for everyone tonight. We'll be watching closely for December the 14th. Koshal would also like to recommend Duarte, who, of course, we've spoken to. He and I have been on a call talking about the NHL. Well worth setting up a Zoom meeting with him to discuss tax implications. I'm so glad he is part of the dream team now. And it was July 23, I think, that Arup was talking about. But you're in a good position, but we've got to wait and see, Arup. Finally, for you then, Carolina, and before I ask you whether you take the train or the bus, of course, public holiday tomorrow. It is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Nothing will be happening with the wheels of industry in Portugal, will it, tomorrow?
Well, I don't think so.
You at work tomorrow?
No. But
yeah, a holiday tomorrow.
I don't love the translation of this holiday, because it's like a saint. It's for a saint called Nossa Senhora da Conceição.
Yes.
So it's like the translations makes it sound weird, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love the sound of the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. However, I understand it's not how you refer to it. But
yeah, you cannot translate conception from Conceição. It's like
okay, I may have misread it, and if I have, I do apologize.
Right, on Google it says like that. So
right, okay, all right. Then I feel vindicated and justified. But whatever it is, public holiday tomorrow, right? So people can't expect to be doing any business tomorrow. Yeah. Finally, then, sorry, 2 minutes over, but train or bus for you for Tom Smith?
Train for sure.
Train every time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any particular great train journeys where we can admire the view?
From just like Sarah said, from Lisbon to Porto, like amazing.
Yeah.
And it's fast, and if you want to go to the bathroom, you can, which is like one disadvantage of the bus.
True.
So, and the view, the comfort you have, well, you can read your book without the speed bumps. So
okay, it's a train. Thank you very much. Well said, well sold. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you all of the Dream Team for being here tonight. Great job. Thanks for all your questions, everybody. Over to you, Astrid. What's coming up next week?
Thank you, everybody. Next week we have a 7:30 webinar. It's going to be for with EI, our guests, discussing hopefully the D7 visa. We're just waiting for the clarifications from Gilda, but Carolina, maybe you know a little bit more about that. And then we've got the Dream Team session afterwards. And then the following week on the 21st of December, we've got our annual online Christmas party,
where I will not be dressing up as an elf, as somebody suggested in the last webinar. I could be persuaded. I could be persuaded. We'll see. But just a last word. This is for you, Dream Team. Great session. Thank you. I always learn so much. Wonderful. Thank you, Debbie, for that. Thanks, Dream Team. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Next week. Ciao, ciao. And bye for now.
Cheers.